The World Baseball Classic is reminding me why baseball is the best sport in the world. USA versus Mexico was awesome. We've got beef forming between Seattle Mariners teammates. There's so much to talk about. We're also going to go over the American League preview, our pick to win each division, who's going to come out on top, AL pennant. We are back with Deferred Collusion. It's me, Jesse Rowe, King of Pressby, joined as always by Branden, Bullinger, Florida Paramount, the South Bay in Los Angeles, California. Branden, World Baseball Classic. So many good things happening. Baseball is rocking, baby. We're 2 weeks from opening day.
We're almost there. It's crazy that winter is thawing, spring is sprunging almost everywhere. It's a weird little heat wave and lately in LA, so that was nasty. But Jess, like you said, season's only 2 weeks away. World Baseball Classic has been super exciting. Some great human stories happening and unfolding from ordinary guys becoming, pinnacle athletes for a few outs or innings. But yeah, dude, and everything in between. Jess, it's great to be back. So excited to see you. And now that I'm one fist away from the microphone, I feel like I can hear myself a little tighter. And it does make me just feel like I'm like an NPR guy right now, Jess. I feel smarter. How do I look?
You look great. Can you hear yourself through your earpods?
Oh yeah, super well.
Oh, I can't hear myself, so I don't know what you're hearing. Like I can only hear you. So maybe that's my bad as an audio producer.
I would say so. You sound like an amateur,
probably.
And I'm kind of disgusted right now. But that's neither here nor there, dude. It's exciting times.
It is exciting, and I wasn't super excited for the World Baseball Classic, and rightfully so at times. Like some of these games, like Brazil, it wasn't very fun to watch. I think they lost collectively something like 40-7 or something like that. They got outscored. I don't know what it was. It was really bad. They went 0-4. Same with
the Czechs didn't win a game.
The Czechs didn't win a game. They got blown out basically every game. But there is a really good story out of the Czech team. But USA versus Mexico yesterday was kind of the first game where I felt like one of the big Goliaths in this tournament was really tested. The big juggernauts. And Team USA was definitely tested yesterday. And it was a great game. Mexico really held their own. It was kind of a Red Sox versus Yankees affair, which was fun because Roman Anthony hit a 3-run bomb. Aaron Judge led off the scoring with a homer. And then Jaron Duran, who's playing for Team Mexico, he had 2 homers of his own. It was just Roman Anthony, I got to say, I don't know if any of you are into fantasy baseball, but he's my big fantasy keeper from last year. I picked him up off of waivers, so I get him late in my fantasy baseball draft. This is my favorite pick to really take an MVP type of leap this year. Maybe that'll be saved for our American League preview. Little tease right there, but this guy's special. The home run he hit in yesterday's game was pretty epic, but Paul Skeens 4 scoreless innings. He looked pretty amazing, and he had Air Force members in the crowd cheering him on. That was pretty awesome. Bobby Witt made just unbelievable defensive plays behind him. Yeah, this was just a really fun game, man. Benji Gill did say that he hopes that they meet again. Benji Gill's the coach of the Mexican team. He really wants to meet Team USA again. That would likely be in the finals if they do, just based on the way the brackets work out. But this was the first time one of the big juggernauts was tested, and I think Team USA, they look pretty good. But why wasn't Mason Miller in there? Why did they go to a Garrett Whitlock? That was weird.
Sometimes you got to let the Whitlock, you know what I mean? Dude, but Benji Gill didn't just say that he, wants Team USA. He said he wants Team USA, in the finals more than anything in the world, which...
Well, it was USA's first time beating Mexico in the history of the world, or in 20 years or something, right? Back in 2006, or never in the World Baseball Classic, I forget.
I don't recall, dude. I feel like they got him, few years back, but it's been a minute. They all kind of
it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years. Mexico's 3-2. So that was the first win since 2006. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy, right?
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I didn't know it had been so long. That's wild to
Yeah.
me, sir.
I mean, good for Mexico. I think they put up a fight, and the crowd too. Got to give a shout out to our Mexican brothers and sisters who were in the crowd for the WBC, because they were going nuts, and they also were like still partying after losing the game. Like they're in it to win it. So that was pretty cool to watch. One note though. This is the big story right now about this, is that, Seattle Mariners teammates are there's a bit of a rift here, because Cal Raleigh, behind the plate for Team USA, did not accept a handshake from his Seattle Mariners teammate, Mexican superstar Randy Arozarena. Did not try to shake Cal Raleigh's hand. Cal didn't accept it. I saw some talk that potentially it's because of that there was resin on Arozarena's hand, pine tar, but I don't know. Based on the comments after the game, it doesn't seem like that was the case.
Yeah, I don't think there's a convenient out on this one. I think Cal was just kind of in that zone that athletes can get in and have a little bit of a fuck you to them. Some people maybe call it a Mamba mentality, but there is a type of player that gets in that killer state. I don't know if Cal Raleigh is that specific brand of pro athlete, but maybe in that moment he fancied himself that guy. And Randy comes at him, big smile, fired up to be there. Hey, my teammate, we just had a deep playoff run, one fucking game away from making the World Series. And it's good to see you as a competitor,
Yeah.
And Cal dogged him. And Randy, okay, he's also a pro athlete. He took that some kind of way. You may recognize the reaction as also the aforementioned Mamba mentality. Reporters were asking Randy after the game, and he said, man, I want to tell him off in 4 different languages. I think he said in Spanish he would tell him to fuck off, or in Cuban
Told him to
Spanish,
shove
he
it
would
up
tell him
his
to go to
ass, I
hell.
think.
Yeah, in English
Yeah.
or whatever was shove it up his ass. So, there was a comment about it on Reddit that I loved. It was Cal took a big dump all over the vibes, and I just was like, yeah, man, the dumper really sat in this one. And Jess, Mark DeRosa came out, had an interview, and just cleared the air. I don't know if you would say threw Cal under the bus or not, but just said, hey, there's no fraternization policy with Team USA and the World Baseball Classic. These guys can say what's up to whoever they want. This is like an exhibition. It's fun. It's a tournament, right? Good sportsmanship, all that jazz. So I don't know, man. Do you think that maybe there was a little bit of bad blood? Randy is by way of Cuba originally. We've heard of Cuban players not always meshing with, American-born players. Famously, Zach Greinke and Yasiel Puig had some long-standing beef that culminated with Zach throwing Puig's luggage off a bus. And, look, I know I'm making connections a little tinfoil hatty, but my point is maybe there's some bad blood in that Mariners clubhouse, and we're seeing it spilled on to the World Baseball Classic stage.
I would say, yes, you're right about Cuban players, and it's interesting because Puig, like Arozarena, they both, when they defect from Cuba, they have to go through Mexico, play through the Mexican League. That's why they end up representing Mexico. I know Yasiel Puig spent some time recently in Mexico, playing over there, because it's sort of like a home away from home for him.
Yeah.
But I will say, what's more likely the case here is that this is just proof that these guys really do care about the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, man.
This is their Olympics. Until the new CBA allows for Major League Baseball players to play in the Olympics, and the Summer Olympics has baseball again, this is it. This is what the Olympics are for Major League Baseball players. And so to represent the country, the Battle of America, as you would say, USA versus Mexico, the Battle of the Americas, it means a lot to these guys. And, I personally think a lot of this is just competitive fire. It's not, I doubt that there's any sort of real bad blood between Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena. It certainly makes the season more interesting if that's the case. but I would imagine this is just like, hey, you and I are going to be cool in about 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be cool when we go fight for a World Series in about 3 weeks. But right now, we're fighting for our country, and I'm not going to be, I'm not your boy right now. I think that was more a signal to his teammates more than it was a signal to Randy Arozarena, because the coach, what's the coach's name again of USA? DeRosa.
Is it Mark? Yeah, Mark
It's
DeRosa.
DeRosa, yeah. He basically said, like, he saw it from the dugout, and him and the coaches and the other players were like, "Ooh, shit!" Like that was interesting. So
Damn.
I would imagine this is more just about the competitive nature of countrymen versus countrymen, and not because there's any sort of bad blood between teammates. I think that by the time they get back with the team and they're back in Seattle fighting for the division, everything is going to be all good. But still, it's a lot of fun to speculate, and I'm sure there are some Mariners fans out there who are like, "What the fuck is going on, man?" They're probably freaking out. But I would think that they're probably fine.
Totally. I think you're onto something. It definitely feels like they are. That the World Baseball Classic just does mean something, and to wear the colors of your country really means something to all these athletes. You can see it from across the globe, and that's a part of what makes it so special. So yeah, I can buy into that. I mean, Bryce Harper was talking about how, they know this isn't the Olympics, and that's the only thing that could be actually sweeter than the World Baseball Classic. And no disrespect, he's no disrespect to the Classic, but it's not the Olympics. And for most of these guys, this is as close as they'll ever get to competing for Olympic gold, and that means something, dude. It's a part of a legacy, and it's a part of you being able to say, I was a part of the best team in the world, and that's legit, and I dig it.
Yeah.
I love to see the fire, but I do think Cal's going to have to buy maybe Randy a steak or something like that to apologize. Just, hey, man, sorry, it was all kayfabe.
There you go. I love that. I think that's a perfect way of putting it. I think it was all kayfabe. I think it's just, hey, we are like, I'm your teammate for like 162 games a year, dude. Like, I don't need to be your buddy right now. Like, this is not the time for me to be your buddy. Like, I'm going to be your buddy for the entire year.
Yeah.
Right now, you're my enemy.
And I bet you, and Randy cuts that killer promo after the game.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's clearly fake. It's not. I mean, it's not. I'm saying it's not fake, but it's like it's clearly just for show.
Yeah, I mean, there is an entertainment value to it.
Yeah.
But Randy cutting that killer promo, I just was like, man, this is like sports entertainment in the best way. I love it. I love not knowing, dude. Fourth wall breaking, dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Oh, it's great. Baseball can use stuff like this. You got to love it.
I couldn't agree more, Daddy-O.
By the way, just a quick shout out to Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, this dude, he hasn't done a ton at the plate, but he makes two of the most like unbelievable plays behind Paul Skeens.
I keep watching that highlight, dude.
Yeah. He makes it look easy. This guy is so good. I saw there was like a lot of controversy about why Gunnar Henderson isn't starting, and obviously we know why. Bobby Witt Jr. is the shortstop. Would Gunnar be better served to play over Bregman at third base, over Bryce Turang at second base? I think there's an argument there. But this guy is just like, I think if you put him on a list of like the top 3 baseball players in the world, he has to be in there. Yeah, this guy is just a special player. And Paul Skeens, I know that you saw the images of him, right?
Oh, dude, that was incredible. Like,
yeah.
That meme of just like Skeens, and it's him and Livy Dunn, and it's like the face you make when you win the MVP or whatever, Cy Young, and it's just, it was Rookie of the Year. And then it was the face you make when you see Bobby Witt Jr. make that play or whatever, playing behind you, and he just all smile, dude. It's just like, that's why, just guys being guys, dude, just fellas, just playing the game we love.
I saw the comments. It's like, I don't think anybody's ever seen Paul Skeens smile as much as he did when he saw Bobby Witt Jr. make those plays behind him. Pretty funny.
I feel like Livy Dunn's going to be like, hey, man, you can't hang out with Bobby one-on-one, all right?
Dude, Livy is jealous of Bobby Witt Jr. right now. She's worried. Yeah.
And he's got a good head of hair, dude. Who knows?
He's the apple of Paul's eye right now. I mean, honestly, like, fuck Paul Skeens, man. Like, that guy's life is fucking crazy. Ridiculous, dude. Like,
he's got a good story brewing right now, doesn't he? It's pretty rad. It's very special.
So far the only USA is 3-0, but it would be very unlucky for them to not advance. The odds of them advancing are pretty high right now. It would have to be total disaster
unless they lose to Team Italy. It would be a 3-way tie at teams that are 3-1 between Italy, Team Mexico, and Team USA, and I think it would go down to cumulative runs scored at that point. So there is a little wiggle room for the, for our boys to kind of botch it, but it seems unlikely, Daddy-O.
They play tomorrow, but it looking good for Team USA. So far, the only teams to advance are Team Japan, Team Korea, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela. Speaking of of losing based on run differential or run scored, Team Australia was basically guaranteed a spot in the quarterfinal. They could lose to Korea, but they couldn't lose by more than 4 runs. 4 runs or less, they were fine. They would have advanced. And then they were down by 4 going into the 8th inning, and then they end up giving up a run to Korea and then ended up losing 7-2. Just a gut punch, heartbreak for Australia. But, good for our boy, Hae-Sung Kim, who's been lighting up the ball over there in the World Baseball Classic. So it's good to see him having some success. Dodger players are having a lot of success. Shohei's hitting grand slams. Yama's dishing the ball. Edwin Diaz is closing out games for Puerto Rico. Hae-Sung Kim is smoking the ball. Will Smith is even getting in there a little bit, getting in the mix. So it's good to see the Dodger representation.
Yeah, Dodgers are really doing it for their countries. Kim Hae-Sung had a little hand injury, so he sat out. I think it was not against Australia, but I forget. Maybe it was Team Australia. I forget. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. So that was a little worrisome, but he did have a big jack against Team Japan. So hope for a speedy recovery and hope to see him back out there. But Team Korea breaking their semifinals drought, so they're back in the dance. Stoked for them. Team Japan looks like a juggernaut. And I don't know. I don't think you've seen the last of Team Mexico either, dude. They're going to be fighting for a while. But is there a more fun team that's ever been put together than the Dominican Republic team? Holy shit! If this has shown. If the World Baseball Classic in general over the last, 20 years or anything, has shown, American baseball watchers, it's how miserable of a sport we have. There is so much life and passion and, celebration happening in other leagues around the world. Yeah. And I'm glad it's starting to, permeate through the MLB, a little bit of let the kids play. But, dude, the Dominican team is the most fun I've ever seen anybody have ever in my whole life. It's crazy.
The amount of just pure joy emanating from that dugout on the field, they look like they're grown men playing kids game, and they fully acknowledge it and they fully embrace it. And they fully recognize that this is a rare opportunity for them. From their standpoint, for their country, this is just as historic as the Team USA team. From their standpoint, it's this is the greatest Dominican baseball team ever assembled. And, this is a great baseball country. Baseball into the Dominican Republic is their Super Bowl, essentially, So,
yeah, dude.
It's the biggest sport over there. And so for them to have this team assembled of guys that probably the majority of guys in that lineup are Hall of Famers. And you also have a great bullpen now with Abner Uribe. You got one of the best Dominican pitcher in the world, and Christopher Sanchez. There's just so much life coming from that team.
Yeah, man.
This is that USA American players and all the old heads, the old school guys that don't want you showing up players on the field. All that crap. This is why all that stuff was nonsense from the very beginning, because you just look at the way these guys play the game and how good they are and how professional they are. You can have fun while being professional, and they're an example of it. So it's great to watch.
And I mean, part of the fun of the World Baseball Classic is just the humanity of it all, right? And it's we're all watching this super familiar game through different lenses, right? Of just culture and experience, and it's just so rad to see, we'll get into a little bit from Team Australia and, how tough it was for their loss and how incredible it was for Team Korea. But, Junior Caminero, like I'm a full on like fan now. Like, dude, just watching him perform like in the World Baseball Classic has been insane. And then seeing him get a little comeuppance on a reporter. Did you see this, Jazz?
Yeah.
A reporter, I guess, had kind of said like, "Hey, man, this guy doesn't have any business being on the team. Like, he doesn't have the reputation. He doesn't have the status. Like, we don't need him. Like you said, this is the greatest collection of Dominican talent of all time." And he has just raked. Jesse, you said a lot of people actually probably wouldn't even recognize him because he plays for the Rays, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on in Tampa? Do they got a roof yet? I think they do. I'm just joking.
Yeah, they're playing.
But
yeah, he wouldn't even answer questions from this reporter. Like,
dude,
he
just
basically just
stone-faced him.
Yeah.
He was like, trying to get like, Junior, like all familiar. My guy's in a suit. It's got the whole daddy freaking Yankee, not daddy Yankee. He's got the Mr. Worldwide, the pit bull kind of look, dude. He's got those glasses, and he just gets stonewalled. Just Junior walks away, right, dude. Just fucking doesn't even look at him. Just shuts this guy down. And sometimes I like to be a little petty, and I like seeing things like that. It's very satisfying, Jess.
It's great. He hit a monster home run in their game the other day, and yeah, that guy's really good. I mean, he's like the 7th or 8th hitter in that lineup, and he had 45 home runs for the Rays last year. I mean, that lineup is just absolutely 45. Absurd. And I think that the pitching is better than people realize. I saw a lot of talk about their pitching and how their pitching sucks, but I mean with Chris Sanchez and Alcantara at the top, and then you got Abner Uribe at the back end of the bullpen. That pitching is better than people realize, and I would not be surprised if the Dominican Republic win it all. But USA versus Dominican Republic would feed families. That would be the ultimate matchup in this World Baseball Classic. But don't sleep on Japan either. I mean, I know like a lot of these names we don't know because they play over in the Japanese league, but that's a professional league, and these are some of the best players in that professional league.
Yeah, dude.
And they are ripping the cover off the ball. They're scoring a ton of runs, and they're pitching really well. So the Japan team is legit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the Australia story, we don't have to spend too much time on this. It was sad the way they lost, but there's just some great stories coming out of the World Baseball Classic. One of them was Connor McDonald, who was a pitcher for the Australian team, and his brother was caught on camera, and the crowd just super emotional, just super into it, and just completely aware of just what a special moment this is, because he knows that his brother's probably not going to be pitching against major league hitters ever again, most likely. So for him to be there on this stage and doing it, you could just see how much it meant to him and his family.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Just like I was trying to put myself in his brother's shoes. Like, dude, if I'm out here, I've flown from Australia to Japan. I'm watching my brother take the pill against the reigning, defending, World Baseball Classic Samurai Japan team. Star-studded and showcased by none other than Showtime Shohei Ohtani. And he pitches, 4 scoreless, 4 1/3 scoreless innings. I mean, unreal. The emotion from his brother Callum, I think his brother Liam was there as well, was just unreal. It was so visceral. You could see fans around them who didn't know who he was, like kind of figuring it out. And, for a brother, you all grow up together, and maybe you didn't have a brother, but maybe you had cousins or, just neighbors or just teammates, right? You grow up playing ball with these guys, and hey, one of you gets to the next level, well, fuck, it's your brother. He's getting a chance to just be, do that thing. Like, I don't know. It's just so surreal, and getting to see that moment for the family and to get to see him succeed so fucking like dominantly too. It was special. It was a tug on your heartstring moment for sure, Jess.
Yeah, I'm looking for his numbers that game because I didn't actually pull those up, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to watch. Where the fuck is it? Sorry, I'm trying to find it, but Australia, Connor McDonald. Yeah, 3 scoreless innings. That's what it was. 3 scoreless innings.
There it was.
3 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 hit. But yeah, against Team Japan, I mean, that's pretty epic. And they only lost 4-3. They had a chance.
Yeah, dude, they were there.
They were there. Another great story. This is the one that everybody knows. It's Andres Satoria from the Czech team. He officially
Way to pronounce
retired.
that.
He officially retired. Oh, that's what I'm here for. He pitched 4 1/3 scoreless against Japan today.
That's who it was.
And he got an ovation on the field from the crowd as he walked off. The Czech team had already been eliminated, so they knew that he was done and that this was his last time ever competing. For people who don't know, he is an electrician living over in Czechia. And, he struck out Shohei Ohtani in last World Baseball Classic back in 2023. And, this is a guy that just does it like with pure will and just, deception, because he doesn't throw very hard, but he just throws a lot of strikes, and he's just awesome to watch. And he's just like a normal guy. It's like watching a dude that we all know, like somebody that we've worked with, going out there and pitching against Shohei Ohtani. It's awesome. And even the Japanese team gives him an ovation as he's like saying goodbye to the crowd and everything, because he knows it's his last time ever competing for the Chechen team. I mean, it was just awesome. It's like you're not going to get this in any other sport other than baseball and the World Baseball Classic, and that's just one of the best stories coming out of this whole process.
Yeah, it's really easy to just like imagine yourself, right? Like, hey, if I just got the shot, I know I could do something special. And like you said, this is a guy who's, pulling wire and fucking, running conduit and fucking checking fucking fuses, whatever, dude. I don't know what kind of electrician he is, but dude, he's going to probably go back to work on Monday. This is what's crazy. Like, that's why this is so special.
He said baseball doesn't pay the bills, so I have to retire. So.
Hey, there it is. I get it, dude.
Yeah.
I get it, dude. That's why I'm not playing ball.
But you know what it is? It's like, how people used to say Babe Ruth got all his numbers because he used to hit off of electricians? Here's your electrician, bitch. Try to hit that guy.
There it is.
He's
Shouts
pretty
out.
good. Yeah.
Struck out Shohei, right, on 3 consecutive
That's
pitches
what I'm saying, dude.
last series. So,
Yep.
Hey, congrats, brother. What an unforgettable run, and way to, like, etch yourself in the halls of baseball history,
Yep.
All it takes is one good day.
Absolutely. So that's it for the World Baseball Classic. We are we're halfway home here. So we're gonna do our official American League preview. Now we're not gonna spend too much time on every team. We're gonna go division by division, give our picks on who we think will win the division, who we think will make the playoffs, and who we think will be the last one left standing going to the World Series. And then next week we will do our National League preview, where we will do the same thing, and then we will take the 2 teams that we believe will win the AL and the NL, and we will pick our World Series winner. Spoiler alert, it's probably going to be the Dodgers. Anyways, so let's start with the just to give everybody an idea right now. In the American League right now, the team with the highest odds to win the American League pennant is the Seattle Mariners.
Whoa.
They are at 19.5% to win the AL pennant. Detroit Tigers are second at 14.8%. The Yankees are third at 14.7%. They're just basically tied with Detroit. And then the Blue Jays, the defending AL champions, are at 11.3%. But let's start with the American League West. The Seattle Mariners won it last year, and right now they have according to Fangraphs, have an 80% chance of making the playoffs. That is the second highest in all of baseball behind the Dodgers. They have a 62% chance to win the division. Right behind them, might surprise some people, the Texas Rangers, according to Fangraphs, have a 35% chance of making the playoffs and a 14% chance of winning the division. Houston Astros at 33% to make the playoffs, 13% to win the division. Some people have this as a hot pick this year, including Branden Bullinger from last year. The No City Athletics are at a 25.6% chance to make the playoffs, 9.1% to win the division, and then taking it up the rear, per usual, Artie Moreno's Angels of Anaheim at 5% chance to make the playoffs and a 1.4% chance to win the division. So let's start with the Seattle Mariners, the defending AL West champions. just before we really get into the stats, how are you feeling about this team going into 2026?
I'm excited. I feel like they kind of, I don't want to say overperformed, but maybe just finally met expectations a little bit. I know I ultimately fell a little short by not making the World Series, but so much good vibes. What a great pitching staff. I'm not super familiar with the pickups this offseason off the top of my head, but overall, with the lineup as is, and no real drama with Cal and Randy, I'm feeling really good. I would love to see some activity at the All-Star break, but it kind of really hasn't been their MO, has it?
Their big offseason ad was re-signing Josh Naylor, the first baseman.
Yes.
And then they also traded for Brendan Donovan, which I think is probably one of the sneakiest, sneaky best ads of the offseason. And we're going to spend more time on the team, just for people who are watching, we're going to spend more time on the teams that we actually think have a chance of winning the division. Like maybe we'll say a few things about the Angels and the A's, but mostly we're going to focus on the top teams. This is the Mariners' depth chart as it stands right now. Lineup as it stands. Cal Raleigh behind the dish, Josh Naylor at first base, Brendan Donovan at second base. You might see some Cole Young there. You might see J.P. Crawford at short. You might see Brendan Donovan play some third. It's possible. So they might move things around. Last year was obviously Eugenio Suarez, but he's back with the Cincinnati Reds. And then left field, Randy Arozarena. You've got Julio Rodriguez in center. And then in right field, you've got Victor Robles, Luke Raley, Dominic Canzone. I'm not sure who's going to be starting Rob Refsnyder, but this is a really, really good team. And obviously the starting pitching is where their bread and butter is made. They have obviously Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Jose Castillo, Brian Wu. This is a very good starting pitching staff, and they have Andres Munoz at the back end of the bullpen, really good bullpen as well. This to me is the most complete team in the American League, and they are my pick to win the AL West. I am not sure if they are yours, but I do have some reasons, like some sort of like alternate storylines of alternate outcomes for this division. But first, are they your pick, or are you picking somebody else to win the AL West this year?
It's hard to bet against them. They, like you said, they are the most complete team. That pitching staff is just so nasty. Yeah, man. I mean, is Cal Raleigh going to hit like 60-something jacks this year? Probably not. Are the moves that they made enough to, pick up that difference? It sounds like they are definitely better on the margins, but yeah, I think they are going to be my pick. I do think Houston's going to be sneaky good, though. Going to have some health back for those guys. Correa's back over there, so I don't know, maybe a little familiar face to that core with Altuve and stuff, maybe a little bit more of a challenge. So I'm excited to see that play out. I was surprised about the Rangers. Like being over the Mariners, are right there. Yeah. Like I'm a little surprised, but do you think that's a bump just out of due respect to Jacob deGrom being healthy?
Well, I think there's a few things happening here. I actually do think that the Rangers are my sneaky pick to upset the Mariners and win the division this year, and I would put them above the Astros for a couple of reasons. One, they just traded for Mackenzie Gore. And it wasn't like they gave up a ton. Yes, they gave up 5 prospects, but it was nobody that was like major league ready, and it was nobody that was going to impact this Rangers team right now. So it's basically like they just add Mackenzie Gore for free to that rotation. And this is a guy that has like not lived up to all of his expectations, but last year in the first half, Mackenzie Gore was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He just kind of ran out of gas and had a tough second half. But with Mackenzie Gore, then you have a healthy Jacob deGrom who made 30 starts last year, who was sub-3 ERA. Nathan Eovaldi, who was fucking awesome last year.
Yeah.
And then you add that with let me get their full pitching here. Wait, what just happened? Hold on a second. I'm sorry. The way Fangraphs works is a little messed up this time. Yeah, those are. Where is their starting pitching? Sorry, guys. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Mackenzie Gore, Jack Leiter, who could take a
Yeah,
step forward this year.
definitely.
We don't know yet what we're getting with Kumar Rocker, but like I also think so when you consider their pitching, and then you also consider like Wyatt Langford was dealing with oblique issues all of last year, and he still put up like a 2020 season. This is a guy who he's one of my favorite fantasy baseball drafts this year because you can get him in like the middle rounds, like around like the 7th or 8th round. And I
Yeah.
think this is a guy that can put up like, top 25 production in the sport, like when fully healthy. Like this is a guy that could take the next step and have like a 30-30 season. And you pile that in with a healthy Corey Seager, and now they have Brandon Nimmo. I know they just traded Marcus Semien. But I like the lineup enough. I do think that they're going to score more runs this year, and I don't think that their primary focus of this team is their offense. I think that it's their pitching, and their pitching is really good. And I think it's similar to the Mariners. I think that they can compete so long as Mackenzie Gore can put a full season together and Jack Leiter takes that next step. I think this team can absolutely compete for the division with the Mariners. So they'd be my sleeper pick to upset one of the favorites this year.
I really like that. Yeah, that starting pitching staff is way nastier than I was giving it credit. I just was like, Jacob deGrom was healthy last year. He really put up some quality numbers. So coming back from that, I expect them to kind of keep building. Evaldi, Mackenzie Gore is just a sneaky good pickup. I really would love to see him take that step forward and be that guy, And if he can be your number 4 or number 3, like you're in a really good spot. It'll be cool to see how it goes in Arlington this year. I like that as a good upset sleeper pick. Really, it comes down to, for that offense, how many games you're going to get out of Corey Seager. It's going to live or die. That playoff hope is going to live or die with the health of Corey Seager. But it can't get much worse for Jock Peterson, right? So they got to do something there or move on. So we'll see how Jock responds, but we're rooting for him.
And I'm not sleeping on the Astros either. I mean, they won 87 games last year and missed the playoffs. This is still a good team, and they haven't taken a full step back. Like Hunter Brown is a true ace. They have some they still have they're some really good guys. I mean, they still have Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena, who was awesome last year. Yordan Alvarez, you'd have to imagine he's going to bounce back and have a more Yordan Alvarez type of season this year.
He's going to be healthy this year.
That's what I'm saying.
That was the thing. So if those old guys are healthy, we could see that what were we calling him before, dude? The little serial killer, movie killer.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers. That's who we compared the Astros to. They're just gonna keep that silent little pace, and they're gonna come up from behind you, Mariners, if you don't fucking watch it.
That doesn't necessarily mean they'll win the division, but they could absolutely make the playoffs, and then anything can happen when you get there. And I think a lot of it, the X factor for them is probably Tatsuya Imai, this guy that they just signed from over in Japan, because early returns look pretty good, but he's obviously going to be a rookie in the majors, and if he can be good behind Hunter Brown, and Hunter Brown can sort of keep the momentum that he built on last year, that could be a pretty good 1-2 punch. It just depends on how much he adjusts to major league hitting or not, because you still got the bad man at the back end of the bullpen and Josh Hader and Brian Abreu, who's just one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball back there as well, and he's probably going to get a metric fuck ton of money in the offseason. So
love a metric.
I like the Astros too. This is actually a very, very competitive division.
Yeah, man. Now that we're really looking at it, it's way more competitive than I thought, because I was really seeing it as a 2-horse race, which I kind of found boring.
Yeah.
I'm all in on the Rangers now, and dude, I just could care less about the Angels, and I still think that there is a lot to be said about the No City Athletics. That young core is just undeniable, and if just everybody, all that young star, just keeps on their projected path, I mean, dude, that's 3-4 all-stars on there. You know what I mean? It's incredible the young talent that's amassing in the state's capital of Sacramento.
I love the lineup for the A's. Like there is a chance that this could be like a top 10 lineup easily, potentially a top 5 lineup depending on how things go. But Nick Kurtz was awesome last year.
Yeah, so you got Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom, Brett
Yeah.
Rooker, Jeff McNeil. Kind of funny to see him there, right?
Yeah.
Jacob Wilson, Lawrence Butler. The only fucking guy that makes me just think like, dude, are we gonna have like some real like star power? I don't know. He's a freak. There's some sick highlights out there.
And
then you got
Leo
you know,
DeVries. Leo
yes,
DeVries is
dude.
19-year-old kid he's like a super phenom prospect. He homered in a spring training game yesterday or the day before. He came over in the Padres trade for Mason Miller. This guy's gonna be a superstar. He's gonna be a superstar. We just don't know when he's gonna play. He might not play this year, but this offense is gonna be great. It really just comes down to, can they pitch? And I don't think they have enough pitching. It's getting 27 outs every day is going to be an adventure, dude. It's going to be, especially in that ballpark where the ball flies in the minor league park. It's going to be so hard for them to get 27 outs every day. I just don't see them being able to do it over 162 games.
And to be honest, dude, I think the last thing I'll say about it is you said it right there. They're playing in a minor league park. Severino was very vocal about the failure to meet the big league mark for players to be able to properly prepare, especially in the heat out there. And for those that are unfamiliar, Sacramento gets hot as hell in the summer. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe now that they've had a year to do things a little bit better, maybe John Fisher's invested in his product in some capacity. I doubt it, though, Jess. I doubt it.
He has extended a lot of these guys to some pretty
true.
team-friendly
That's
deals,
true.
which
I
I do like. I saw them taking some photos in Vegas too, in front of the land breaking where they're planning on building a new stadium. This is going to be one of my favorite teams, just like fun viewings for this year. Like if like for MLB League Pass or whatever I forget what it's called, but like. And on MLB TV, this is going to be one of my favorite watches this year. Is to watch this team hit. Watching them pitch is going to be rough. And as for the Angels, I mean, like how good can Grayson Rodriguez be healthy, and can he be good? Who they just got from the Orioles. Can Mike Trout stay on the field? They're putting him back in center field, which I don't understand. It just sounds like he's going to get injured again. I mean, I really like some of their young players. I really like Zach Neto. I really like their catcher, and I'm blanking on his name. It's not exactly a ring endorsement.
Logan
Ohapi. They had some good things happen last year, but again, them getting 27 outs every day is gonna be a winding road, to put it mildly. So that's all I really have on the Angels, because I'm not expecting anything from them this year. So
a lot of young talent. Hopefully they take steps forward and are somehow not crushed under the weight of Artie Moreno's incompetence.
Absolutely. Let's move to the AL Central. As of right now, the Cleveland Guardians won it last year because of an epic collapse by the Detroit Tigers. Tigers had something like a double-digit lead with a month and a half to go, and then they just fell apart. Still ended up making the playoffs, ended up beating the Guardians in the playoffs, and ended up going to extra innings in 5 games against the Seattle Mariners. They took them to the brink, but were eliminated in the division series by the Mariners. As of right now, Detroit, rightfully so, has the best odds, best playoff odds at 74%. They have the best odds to win the division at 61%. The Royals are second, 38% playoff odds, 20% to win the division. The Twins, 23.5% playoff odds, 11.5% to win the division. Guardians, the defending Central champions, 13.5% odds to make the playoffs, 6% chance to win the division. And then the Chicago White Sox bringing it up the rear, 1% chance at the playoffs and a 0.4% chance to win the division. This all according to Fangraphs. Detroit Tigers. This is, if I'm betting money right now, like on odds for a team to win the pennant, I would put money on the Tigers. And not because I think that they are the best team in the American League, but I do think they're going to have the easiest path to a bye week. to a bye and to home field in the American League. Like, I would not be surprised if they end up having the best record in the American League this year, and not because they are the best team. It's because they play in the weakest division. They could end up winning 95, 96 games. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have one of the best 1-2 punches in the rotation in all of baseball. Arguably the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball, with Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez, who they just signed to a 5-year deal. So are the Tigers your pick? Do you have any other sneaky thoughts here, or are you on board with the Tigers?
I'm on board with the Tigers. I just think that the pitching is made such a clear step up. Like you said, the addition of Framber Valdez. Let's not forget Justin Verlander. You got Casey Mize as well, and old friend, World Series champion Jack Flaherty. Yeah, dude, I really like that 1 through 5. It's really nasty. But, like, you know, there's still plenty of questions. Like, is Zach McKinstry going to be an all-star for you? Like, you know, this year, like, is Javi Baez going to be this, like, ghost of the good player he was, you know? Like, I mean, shouts out us for calling out Spencer Torkelson, dude. I told you he was going to rake, dude. You heard it here first, Deferred Collusion.
Yeah. But even him, though, he hasn't, like, he raked last year. He hit 30-something homers, but we're hoping for, like, a 40-homer season where he hits above 250 at some point, you know? Like, I want to see him take that, like, Pete Alonso type of step. And he just hasn't quite done it yet. The offense is the question with this team, because I do think, like, that starting rotation is good enough to win a playoff series. Hands down,
absolutely.
Good enough, right?
Absolutely.
But, like, here right now is the lineup. Right now, you got Dylan Dingler behind the plate, who actually was really good. He actually had a very good offensive season.
Yeah.
He's projected right now for an above 700 OPS, so that's pretty good from a catching spot. You got Torkelson at first base. You got Gleyber Torres at second, maybe some Zach McKinstry. You got Javi Baez potentially playing some short, potentially some McKinstry. Old Dodger Trey Sweeney could get in the mix. But really, it's going to be, when do the Tigers call up Kevin McGonigal, who is one of the top prospects in all of baseball? He's their number one prospect. This dude fucking smashes the ball. He's been cracking the ball in spring training, and I know a lot of people are talking about Connor Griffin as the number one prospect in baseball over on the Pirates. McGonigal is getting overshadowed by Connor Griffin. This guy could be just as good, and I think if the Tigers are gonna be like a really good offensive team this year, they're gonna have to get McGonigal in the mix as soon as possible, because it's hard to expect too much of a rookie, but this guy is so talented that he could come in, hit the ground running, and be like a 770 plus OPS guy, in there at shortstop, because he's really, really good. Third base, Colt Keith, he's another X factor for them. You might see some Zach McKinstry at third as well. Outfield, Riley Green, really good year last year, but struck out a lot, didn't get on base as much as he should. Hoping he takes the next step. Kerry Carpenter, who had some huge hits in the playoffs. Might see some Javi Baez in left field, some Parker Meadows. But, this team is good enough to win the division, win a lot of games. But I think we'd agree, like, this offense needs to take a step forward for them to really be taken seriously as like a World Series threat.
Yeah, I think they need an anchor still in that lineup, like a undoubtable like 3-4 guy, that's gonna just stir the whole pot. But hey, old friend Kenley Jensen is gonna be over there closing games out for him, so that'll be fun. That's always an adventure. But yeah, I think there's a lot. I think they're very close, and with that, with the ceiling of the talent that they have offensively, I think they have a fighter's chance, at the World Series. But I would really love to see them make a move for a couple bats, or just like a lockdown closer would be huge too. So we'll see what the year holds and who these Tigers really are. Just to go down to Cleveland real quick. I guess, is Jose Ramirez gonna be enough to keep them around all year? Him and Steven Kwan, basically. Like, I don't know much about. I got to look at who else is on frickin'. Bo Naylor shouts out, but yeah, I mean, Reese Hoskins, I guess. Does that do anything for you? Like, do you
it
feel like
does.
this team has taken a step forward in any substantial way from last season?
This is such a weird team because they're a hard watch, they're not a fun team to watch, but they always find a way to stay in games. Like you can rest assured this team will find a way to stay in games. They know how to get 27 outs and prevent runs. The Guardians know how to do it. It may not be sexy, it may not be fun to watch, but they always have a way to pitch and keep you in the game. I mean, you have Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Slade Ciccone, Logan Allen. You have guys that are going to keep you in the ball game. A lot of guys that can go 5-6 innings and only give up 3 runs. Gavin Williams could potentially be a top 10, 15 pitcher in baseball if he reaches his potential because he has nasty stuff. Tanner Bybee is just a solid 6-inning quality start, 6 innings, 3 runs type of guy. But Cade Smith, incredible, probably one of the top 3 relievers in all of baseball at the back end of that bullpen. It really depends on how much is losing Emmanuel Clase to this gambling probe going to affect their bullpen and their ability to get outs. Cleveland has always been a pitching factory. I could see them pitching well enough to keeping them in the division, but I don't see them coming back against the Tigers the way they did last year. I think they're going to have to squeak into a wild card spot, winning 85 games or something, because I just don't know how they're going to score the runs. Looking at the lineup with Quan, I love Jose Ramirez, but after that, somebody's going to have to step up and take the next step, and I'm not a believer in Brian Rocchio. Bo Naylor could be the guy, taking a step. But again, he's a catcher. He's not going to play every single day. So it's got to be somebody else. Yeah. But shout out to Jose Ramirez because this guy's as loyal as they come. And I just don't know why he'd want to stay there. But
well, Jess, I do got a little take on the Class A thing. And I almost feel like we saw that momentous run because, hey, maybe they got rid of a couple of guys that were fucking cheating against them. And even though if they were in, a little surreptitious ways. That's a $5 word for you, Jess.
Oh, wow.
I think that it still lingered on that team. And so much of his behavior during the playoffs was weird. I know I've brought it up before, but, I just always think back to him like posting video of his like trophies and his accolades from his career after he gave up like that home run. I don't know if it was to Soto or if it was before that. But yeah, it was just like, it was just so bizarre, and now I'm like, oh my
Judge.
God, it might have been the Judge one.
Or Stanton. It was Judge or Stanton. It was a righty. I don't think it was.
But
Soto.
he was just cheating that whole time. And look, I know cheating, whatever, but like the gambling, whatever. We've discussed how these things can happen over time. They get these organized crime basically will go after these young players and help them basically get over here and fund them and take a piece of the pie afterwards. But
this happened to Yasiel Puig.
Yes,
Yasiel Puig was in Cuba, like the cartel helped him get from Cuba to Mexico to defect, and then they were basically holding him at
extorting
gunpoint,
extorting
him for money. When he got his contract, and he never got that big MLB contract, which is a shame. But who knows? A lot of these Latin American guys, you feel sympathy for them, but I mean, it's hard to feel sympathy for when you're just intentionally throwing pitches.
Just as a side note to Puig, he is facing sentencing and, is facing like up to 20 years, like 15 to 20 years for some of these gambling allegations. And, I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope there's some leniency on it, but I mean, I don't know the fucking ins and outs of the case. Hope everything works out. Puig, you is our friend or whatever the saying was and whatever, dude. But sad times. What an ambassador of fun Puig was, to the league.
He would be great in the World Baseball Classic. He'd be awesome.
Man, are you kidding me?
But to get back to it, because the Guardians are not one of the teams that I think could upset the Tigers this year.
No.
If I were to pick a team that I think has the best chance, it would be the team that the odds makers agree with me on. It would be the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
I love the construction of this team. I think they have so many fun players. They're going to be a really fun watch this year. they're, as of right now, I think they are at a they're at a 38% chance to make the playoffs, 20% to win the division. But they have the potential to be a great lineup. Salvi Perez behind the dish. You got Vinny Pasquantino, who had a career year last year, had over 100 RBIs. Or I don't know if he had over 100. What were his numbers last year?
Let's take a look.
He hit, he had 113 RBIs last year with 32 home runs. So he had a great year at first base. If he can keep that up, that's huge for them. You have Jonathan India at second base. This is one of the more biggest enigmas in all of baseball for me. One year, Jonathan India is great. The next year, he sucks. He's a one-win player. If he can get a little bit better. Bobby Witt Jr., I mean, this is a guaranteed 6 to 7 win player. He's the best shortstop in baseball, leading off every game. You got Michael Garcia, one of the better third basemen in baseball. Like, he could have a monster year for the Royals. And then the outfield, you got guys like Isaac Collins. They have Starling Marte. They added him to the mix. Lane Thomas, Kyle Isbell. They have, and then the one that I think is the big one is their top prospect going into last year, Jack Caglianone. This dude crushes the ball, like hits the ball so hard. And if he can take that next step and become a guy in this lineup behind Bobby Witt, I'm really liking the direction that this team is going, because their pitching is good enough to get through a regular season. Cole Reagans, like, this dude has all the makings to be like, poor man's Tariq Skubal. He's a strikeout machine. He took a step back last year, but he got injured. But 3 years ago, he was like one of the sneaky Cy Young picks going into 2025. Yeah. This guy is nasty. You got journeyman, veteran guys like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, who had a really good year last year. He's a really, really reliable. Chris Bubich is really good. Like, this guy could potentially take the next step and become like a really good number 2 in this rotation, number 3. So I think that the pitching is there to get them through the regular season. But, Cole Reagans has to be an ace, and one of the other guys has to really step up, particularly probably Chris Bubich has to become like a true number 2, number 3 guy to really, for them to truthfully upset the Tigers.
Yeah, and I think they need to have somebody really step up and take that closing role. If they're not going to go out and get somebody, they need a lockdown ninth inning guy. I think I think it was kind of like closer by committee last year, if I recall. I could just be Carlos using it.
I went to a Royals game. It was Carlos Estevez, and he's good. He was on the Angels for a bit, but he's not super reliable. Lucas Erceg is who I'd put my money on. I mean, he's pretty nasty. They picked up Matt Strahm from the Phillies. Obviously, he gave up that 3-run homer to Teoscar Hernandez in Game 1 of the NLDS, but I don't want to remind him of that. So I think that they have enough. I would pencil them in for them fighting for a wild card spot, but they've a few things have to go their way for them to win the division.
Yeah, I feel that, but it's not without possibility. There is a huge high ceiling on that team, but they got to get some support from the front office. Got to get some guys at the trade deadline. Just because I don't really think they're worth spending much time talking about, the Twins seem like they're just in neutral. So maybe that means some guys will be shipped out. That could bode well for division rivals. Who knows? I'm just kind of spitballing. I don't want to talk about the Twins that much. They make me sad.
Yeah, for them to be good, Luke Keeschel is like the hot pick this year. He needs to really become like a star at second base. Royce Lewis cannot stay on the field. He needs to stay healthy. Same thing goes with Byron Buxton. And, Joe Ryan is really good, but he's injured right now. Bailey Ober needs to be good. It's just a lot of things need to go right. And it really just all comes down to health for the Twins. And even then, I don't know if they have enough, but I do like Luke Keeschel a lot. He could become a very, very, very good player. Yeah. So we'll see. Let's move on to the AL East, probably the most interesting division here.
Real quick, we got to show some respect for the Chicago White Sox.
Sorry.
Munetake Murakami is coming over. That's a huge deal
I
for them.
honestly forgot to
tapping-
talk about the White Sox.
I know you did. It's very easy to forget. What is their playoff percentage?
1%.
Chance? 1%. They better than no percent. Kind of surprising, honestly, to say that they have 1%. But the only reason why I want to talk about it, there was a really, really cool clip from believe it was the Japanese broadcast of the World Baseball Classic. And Murakami is in the dugout, and he's got his bat. He's getting ready, and Shohei's just kind of staring, and he's looking at him, and he tells him to adjust his bat head and start changing his stance a little bit, has his head up, and they start working at it a little bit. And Jess, what's really rad about it is after that, Murakami would go on and hit a grand slam. So, by nobody's fault, but hey, Shohei Ohtani is just increasing the Chicago White Sox WAR through Munetake Murakami, and thus giving them a 2% playoff chance. You heard it here first on Deferred Collusion.
I mean, look, the White Sox have some interesting players that are coming up, and I like Murakami a lot. I think he's looked great in the World Baseball Classic. I think he could probably win Rookie of the Year, to be honest. Like, there's a chance he could. I like Chase Maedroff. There are some decent aspects of this team. Hopefully Miguel Vargas former Dodger Miguel Vargas can start, really putting together a couple seasons so he can get a good contract. But
I think he had 2 WAR last year.
Yeah, but Murakami plays third base, and Vargas, probably going to have to move to the outfield. They have Colson Montgomery. Murakami might play first base, actually. He might play first base. Anyways, it really comes down to the starting pitching because, Shane Smith, Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Anthony Kay, Eric Fetty, Jonathan Cannon, who are these guys? Like, Eric Fetty is the most recognizable name, and, he's a trade chip for them potentially, but they're going to have some trouble getting talking about getting through 27 outs, my God. So they're going to have a bad year, and hopefully this leads to White Sox fans starting to see some prospects that are, they get high in the draft, start putting together a really good farm system, and then you might see some momentum on that end. But for right now, it'll be a few years. Let's move to the AL East, though. As of right now, the New York Yankees have the best chance, 70% to make the playoffs and 32.7% to win the division. That is over the defending champion AL East and AL champion Blue Jays, who have a 60.6% chance to make the playoffs, 23.3% chance to win the division. Now, remember, last year, the Yankees and the Blue Jays had the exact same record. Blue Jays won on the tiebreak. So, there's not much of a difference between these two teams. They're very, evenly matched in a lot of categories, but the Blue Jays did beat them up in the division series last year. Coming in third, the Red Sox have a 57.7% chance to make the playoffs, 20.7% to win the division. The Orioles, 51.7% chance to make the playoffs, 16.7% to win the division. And then the Rays have a 29% chance to make the playoffs and a 6.5% chance to win the division. So this is a division where the difference between the top 4 teams is 70% and 51%. It is really close. You have 4 teams in this division that could legitimately win the division. And the bottom team, the last place team, the Rays, 29% chance. They're going to be super competitive. This is an incredibly competitive division. And let's start with the Yankees since they are the favorites right now. And this is a really good team, man. I know that a lot of Yankee fans felt like they didn't do enough in the offseason, that they feel like they're sort of bringing back the exact same team. But it is a very good team, and they were the best offensive team in baseball last year. They led the league in runs scored, OPS, and they have a really good pitching staff. So this is a team that I think could absolutely make the World Series this year. And, just some things have to go for their way in the playoffs. But Austin Wells behind the dish, he's over playing for the Dominican Republic. Ben Rice at first base. he's, when he faces right-handed pitching, this guy has really good numbers. So we could see a big step from him this year. You also got Paul Goldschmidt that he'll be platooning with a little bit over there. Maybe some Cody Bellinger occasionally. Second base, Jazz Chisholm, who's been really good since going to the Yankees. And I'm eating crow in that one because I did not like the trade at the time. But Jazz Chisholm's been very good, and he's back at second base. The big question here is who's going to play shortstop, Anthony Volpe or Jose Caballero? To start the year, it's going to be Caballero because Volpe is injured. But Volpe, he's on the hot seat right now because he has not lived up to the hype before he came into the league. Third base, they have Ryan McMahon. Left field, Cody Bellinger, who they re-signed to a 5-year deal. Center field, Trent Grisham. I'm not sure. It might be Cody in center, Grisham in left. I'm not sure how they're going to be doing that. But Trent Grisham had a pretty good year last year. And then, of course, the bad man, Aaron Judge, in right field. And then Giancarlo Stanton will be at the DH. This is a really good lineup. And I know that it doesn't feel like they've gotten better, but they can score runs. And so much of it is because of Aaron Judge and because of the amount of home runs that they hit. But I like the lineup, man.
Yeah, man. I'm less a believer of this lineup. I don't hate it. I like it. But I'm really worried about Giancarlo Stanton and his inability to be able to open up a bag of chips right now.
Yeah.
You're telling me he's going to be a reliable stalwart in the middle of that lineup for 162? Look, I get it. If you're a Yankees fan, you go, we just need him for October. And I agree as a Dodger fan. I totally get that. However, like you said, Jesse, this is a 4-team, really a 5-team race in this division with, the Orioles having a lot of potential. That said, is the pitching going to be healthy enough to start the year, with Garrett Cole still working back from Tommy John? We'll expect him at we'll say all-star break-ish, maybe, June at the earliest, but when's he going to be super effective? And I just think with how competitive this division is, I think the Yankees are very vulnerable to getting put in a hole if they get out to a slow start offensively. And just seeing, Bellinger over the years, he does look like he's getting to be comfortable at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but we've seen Belly have struggles. We've seen
he has
Trent
good
Grisham
years
have
and bad years for sure. Yeah.
My point is we've seen some of these guys be streaky. Look, that's the name of the game. But if it happens early, I think that the Yankees could be in trouble. However, if it goes the other way, I'm eating crow and they're riding high and Garrett Cole comes back and, oh my God, the Death Star is fully operational.
Yeah. I love Belly in New York. I think he's a perfect fit in that stadium. The short porch in right field. He had a really good year last year. I mean, he really put together a nice season last year. Yeah, same thing with Grisham. Belly's a perfect fit in the Bronx. Like I think that he maximizes his talent in New York and like nowhere else. That's where you're going to get the most out of Cody Bellinger is in Yankee Stadium because his splits were pretty bad. Like when he was on the road, I think he was like a below 700 OPS. But when he was at home, he was like close to 1,000. Like he was a monster at home. I'm going to try to convince you because I think this pitching staff has a chance to be one of the best in baseball. So much of it depends on Garrett Cole being healthy and coming back, some version of Garrett Cole being like, even if it's 80% of what he was 2 years ago. And then Carlos Rodon, who's also out with some elbow issues. But when you have Garrett Cole, Max Fried, who's basically been the ERA leader from like the past like 6 or 7 years across baseball, one of the most consistent, innings eaters and ERA guys in baseball. Cam Schlittler, who looked great in the playoffs, who could be like who's going to be their number 5 when everybody's healthy, number 4, number 5 when everybody's healthy. And obviously Carlos Rodon, who when he's healthy, he can be really good. He's been really good since coming to the Yankees. And then Clark Schmidt, Luis Gil, and the one that everybody's sleeping on is Ryan Weathers, who they traded for from Miami. This guy has some of the best peripherals on his fastball and on his breaking stuff and all of baseball. Really good spin, really good ride, nasty stuff. And with this pitching, with the pitching coaches in New York and the facilities they have and the access he has and what they've shown, their ability to sort of get the most out of their pitchers, I think Ryan Weathers could be like one of the biggest factors in the Yankees rotation this year. And I see they're like 8 deep of guys that they can throw out there and put together like quality major league outings, where I think that this pitching staff is actually gonna be one of the best in baseball this year. So I'm pretty high on the Yankees. I'm a little surprised how high on the Yankees I am, because they also have David Bednar in the bullpen, Camilo Doval. They have some good guys that can get outs too.
Yeah, I do like that bullpen of Bednar. I really like Camilo Doval. I know he can be a little erratic, but that heater is just insane. Tim Hill, old friend Ryan Yarborough, Cade Winquist. There's some guys that can get you a bunch of outs in a couple different ways. So I like the looks. But yeah, I'm just a little bit nervous of that offense. Like you said, there's some crazy splits out there, and I just worry that if guys like Belly or Grisham aren't able to keep up that production out the gate, that they could get left behind in a hyper-competitive AL East.
So my pick to win the AL East this year is the Yankees. I'm assuming you're not picking the Yankees.
I'll tell you when we go through a couple more teams who might pick.
Okay. So the team that won it last year, edged it out because of a tiebreak, is the team that ended up going to the World Series and losing in extra innings, even though they had 2 outs in the 9th inning, or two outs away in the 9th inning from winning it all in Game 7 against the Dodgers, the Toronto Blue Jays. And they are such an interesting team because they no longer have Bo Bichette, but I don't think that they've gotten worse. They've just gotten different. I think that they're more or less running back the same team. But what they've done is they've supplemented their pitching. They've added Dylan Cease. They signed him to a 7-year deal. And this is a really good team that, it's a coin flip in my mind between 3 teams in this division. But I would say Blue Jays or Yankees are my top picks. And this is a great roster. They got Alejandro Kirk behind the dish, Vladimir Guerrero, who might be the best first baseman in baseball, not named Freddie Freeman. You've got Ernie Clement. You've got Andres Jimenez. And then they signed this guy Kazuma Okamoto out of the Japanese league. They added Jesus Sanchez in a trade, an outfielder, Nathan Lukes, Davis Schneider. They have George Springer, Dalton Varsho, and Anthony Santander, who's going to be out. I don't know how long he's going to be out for.
I think he's going to miss significant time. I think he had to get surgery, because I do hear grumblings from Blue Jay Nation already that this may be one of the worst contracts in baseball right now.
And this is a guy that could have that hit 40+ home runs when he was with the Orioles. I mean, that's a bummer that he's not available, because he would make that lineup so much better. But I really like the lineup, and the pitching staff is where this gets good, because they've added Dylan Cease to an already pretty good pitching staff. And like I said about the Yankees, you could say about the Blue Jays with Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage, Cody Ponce, who they signed from over in the KBO, Shane Bieber, who they extended for 1 year, and then Jose Barrios, Max Scherzer came back. You got Jeff Hoffman, Yimi Garcia, Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland in the bullpen. They can pitch. This is a good pitching staff, and I guess the question is how much do we value the Dylan Cease addition, and how good is Trey Savage going to be? Is he going to be able to pick up off of his rookie year last year? Because the sample size is very small, but he was nails.
Yeah, man. I think that with the return of Max Scherzer and the emergence of Trey Savage, I think the two of them together are going to make a 3-WAR pitcher, and I think that's going to shore up the back end of that rotation really well. I really like that top 3 of Gausman, Cease, and Barrios. And I don't know, there's just something about it that I don't think has the ceiling talent that the Yankees have, with a Fried as their one, with their Aaron Judge. But, you mentioned the loss of Bo Bichette. Well, the Andres Jimenez trade in 24 was kind of like their insurance from that. You remember Bo wasn't really playing well at the time, and I think was coming back from injury as well. Before, we saw him emerge in this super elite hitter in the postseason of 2025, but like they'd kind of prepped themselves for that departure already. And I just think that they got better, like really. Like I just think that this lineup is, while again, doesn't have that top tier talent that I think the Yankees have, I think they're a more balanced lineup. I think that they're hyper motivated. And I don't know, there's just something about the balance of the lineup with like Springer and Varsho and Guerrero and Barger and Kirk and Sanchez and now Okamoto, who I think is going to play well in Toronto. I mean, Clement, like, is Clement going to be the through 162 what we saw in the postseason? Like, no, but I think that the aggregate of all these guys together, I think the makeup of their hitting style too is very complementary to each other, and I think that this, Jesse, is going to edge out the Yankees and the Red Sox to be your NL East champions in the year.
AL East
champions in the year of our Lord 2026.
I like. I mean, I can't argue with you that they're a good pick to win the division. Addison Barger showed some good things in the playoffs. He needs to take a step forward and could he become like an 800, 850 OPS guy? George Springer's kind of an X factor for them because he was so great last year. He put together an awesome season. But I mean, the guy's like 35, 36 years old. So, it stands to reason that he could potentially take a step back offensively. Okamoto, we don't know. His numbers in Japan were really good. But I agree with you. The way that this team hits and they put at bats together, they make such good quality of contact. They hit for such a high average. They were relentless last year. And their ability to just string innings together and apply pressure to pitchers was unlike any other team that we watched all year face the Dodgers. They were so dynamic on offense, and I see no reason why that shouldn't continue with the team that they have. And I think Vladdy's still waiting to take that next step forward and get back to that 40-plus home run type of season. And this could be the year to do it. So I could see Vladdy having a monster season and, competing for, being a guy that competes for an MVP. This team is really good. I'm not a huge Dylan Cease guy. And I'm just being honest, and that's my biggest issue with the pitching staff is I've never been a huge believer in Cease, and I think that everybody likes to say, but look at the underlying metrics and the underlying numbers. He has a season where he had like a 2.5, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But that's called being inconsistent. I think that the underlying metrics are there, but the reason why he doesn't put together these great seasons is because I think that there's an issue with the level of compete and the mentality. And I'm happy to eat crow on that, but I've just seen him too many times just like kind of fall apart in games where he starts like missing the strike zone. He starts leaving the ball right over the plate. And it's like, okay, great, the metrics are there. But like he's not throwing good pitches. He's not being competitive in competitive moments. And that's some of the issues that I have with Dylan Cease. But I do think he's a great fit in Toronto, and I actually believe in what that coaching staff and that organization can do to help him because he's also got Kevin Gossman to sort of be there as the backup ace if needed, and Trey Savage is a rising star. And Shane Bieber can come in and do his thing. And Max Scherzer is that old horse who can, set the tone for what this pitching staff needs to be, how they need to go about their day-to-day work and everything. So I just love this team. It's a coin flip in my mind. I just like the Yankees. I think that, they're going to, it's like a game of chess. It's like the Blue Jays, they made their move last year. It's time for the Yankees to make their move this year. But you can pencil the Blue Jays in for October. Red Sox.
Real quick, before we move on, the last thing I want to say, and it's just to touch on Cease, and because everything you said is correct, and dude, no notes, absolutely agree. I just think that was a horrible, horrible clubhouse that he just left, right? Really,
and bad defense behind him. Defense.
Yeah, dude, Luis Ariz at first base. Come on, man. He ain't getting shit over there. I'm just saying that I think that, like you mentioned, a guy that needs maybe a little bit more I don't know, stability in his clubhouse. Wasn't getting that, especially coming from Chicago where it was a bit of a mess. So I think the kid looked a little shell-shocked. So I think with Scherzer, Gossman around him, yeah, dude, I think we're going to see a good year from Cease. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm just trying to sell you on Toronto winning the division. That's all.
I don't disagree, and I also think he has a much better defense behind him in Toronto that I think will make things a lot easier for him. So I don't disagree with you. Boston Red Sox have a 57.5% chance of making the playoffs, 21% to win the division. Such an interesting because Rafael Devers is obviously gone. They did not retain Alex Bregman, but they did go out and sign Ranger Suarez to the pitching staff. This team could, in my mind, win the division and win 93 games, or they could finish with under 500 with 79 wins. Like, I'm in between on on this team. I think that they have a chance to be really good. I think they have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. They just play in such a crazy good division that their offense needs one of their young guys really needs to elevate to superstar level because they don't really have a superstar in their lineup right now. And so much of that depends on, is Roman Anthony the next Juan Soto? That's what a lot of this really depends on. Carlos Narvaez and Connor Wong behind the dish. Wilson Contreras, they acquired from the Cardinals. He'll be playing first base this year, maybe some DH. Marcelo Meyer, they're expecting a lot from him at second base. Trevor Story had a pretty good year at shortstop. He's at short. Caleb Durbin, they just got from the Brewers. I really like this move. I think that this guy could elevate to becoming one of the top 10 third basemen in all of baseball, and I think he's going to fit in with the Green Monster in left field and everything. So he'll be playing third. Left field, Roman Anthony. This guy is the truth. He's been awesome for Team USA. I mean, this guy could be, he had like a 900 OPS and like a 400 on base percentage. He had like a 60% hard hit rate in his minimal sample size last year. I mean, everything points to this guy just being an absolute star. Jaron Duran in the outfield, as well as Ceddanne Rafaela. You're also going to see some Weiler Abreu, who puts up some pretty good numbers. Jaron Duran needs to get back to 2024 Jaron Duran. But I like the outfield a lot. I like the team a lot. I'm just not sure if the offense is going to be able to do enough because the pitching is certainly there, led by Garrett Crochet, who is absolutely disgusting. So, but they also really quick. They also have Sonny Gray. They got Ranger Suarez, and then they can go like 7 deep with Brian Bayo, Johan Oviedo, Patrick Sandoval, Peyton Tolley, Cutter Crawford, Connor Early. They have a lot of pitchers, but yeah,
Zach Kelly, dude, it's deep over there, bro.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think that the Red Sox have a chance? Are you picking them to make the playoffs? Like, where are you at with them? I'm in between.
I definitely have I definitely like them. I just don't. How do I say this? Everything that I said that I liked about the Toronto Blue Jays makeup of their lineup is the exact opposite of how I feel about the Boston Red Sox lineup.
Yeah.
I think there's a bunch of guys that can do very well, but I don't know that anybody's like taking a whole team approach, if you know what I mean. Like I love Roman Anthony. I've never really been a Trevor Story guy. I guess I don't know. I just saw him like average in Colorado for so long. But like Jaron Duran gets me fired up. Wilson Contreras gets me fired up. William Abreu gets me fired up. Rafaela, like, is Ceddanne going to take a step forward this year? Is he going to kind of fall? I don't know. But my point is like Caleb Durbin. I don't see all. I don't know. Like Masataka Yoshida. Like, where is he gonna? Is he gonna DH again? Or are you gonna?
I don't know.
Duran gonna DH? Like, my point is, I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to work out. I mean,
and Tristan Casas is still on the team, isn't he?
Yeah, dude. So like, as much as I love that pitching staff, and I think it is probably the best pitching staff in the AL. I just don't know in this hyper competitive division. I don't know if there's enough consistency in that lineup to propel them over the Blue Jays, over the Yankees. over 162. I don't know who I would like to see in there. I'm trying to think, but I don't really know who's available from other teams at the moment. But we'll see at the deadline. I hope they're around. It just the more the merrier. I love a big scrum, around the trade deadline, see who's in, who's believing in their squad. But there's a lot of talent here, but I just would like to see who is the offense built around,
Roman Anthony. I mean, I think that's what they kind of did last year when they didn't re-sign Bregman.
Yeah.
They go out and trade for Durbin. They let what's his name? Third baseman. My God.
Devers.
The Giants. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Rafael
Devers. They let him go. I think that was their way of saying like Roman Anthony is the future. And, as of right now, he has the highest WAR projection for the season at 3.5. I think it's going to be higher than that. By the way, you said I got Wilson Contreras gets me fired up. I don't think anybody in Boston has ever said Wilson Contreras gets me fired up. But I mean, I do think he'll be serviceable and solid. But I think that's kind of like a lot of guys in this lineup. Caleb Durbin has to take the next step. I know I'm saying that a lot. That's like a ad nauseum thing today. I'm repeating myself. And Roman Anthony needs to become a guy. And obviously Jaren Duran just needs to, keep being productive. All the pieces are there. I'm just not in love with all the pieces other than like one or two on offense particularly. And I love Garrett Crochet. He can win a Cy Young this year. And Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
Super solid number 2. I think that was like a must add on their part. Like they needed to make that move. So I do like it. And Sonny Gray is very much like underappreciated in baseball. He's very, very solid and great as a number 3. So all of it is there. I do think that they could win the division. I'm just not I'm not seeing enough on paper right now for me to feel like they have a pretty good shot at winning the division. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm happy to make a change to that as I see them play. But just based on going into last year I thought they were going to win the division. We both picked them to win the division, and then we were both so disappointed by what we saw in the regular season that it was like I can't in my right mind pick them to win the division this year. I just can't do it. So.
Yeah, I can't do it either. I mean, last year we picked them to win because we were like, oh, wow, they're going to have Devers and Bregman in that lineup with pretty much everybody else we just mentioned. But as we know, that didn't really work out. So, there's a lot of talent there, but if they're going to want to, make a substantial playoff run, they're going to have to go out and take it. And they're going to have guys show up day in, day out through that grind and just win, So win the at-bat, win the inning. And take it from there. But moving on, dude, Tampa Bay Rays.
Can we go to the
or is it
Orioles
Baltimore Orioles?
first?
Sorry, I forgot.
Because this is the team I'm probably most excited about, and I think this team's gonna take the biggest jump this year. I don't know if they'll win the division, but I think they'll take the biggest jump. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, we're starting with your boy Hendo skis. Team USA, Gunnar Henderson. You got Tyler Ward, Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman. You got Dylan Beavers, Colton Cowser, Blaze Alexander, Samuel Basalo, and Kobe Mayo. Everybody's favorite thing to put on a turkey sandwich. Dude, I really like that lineup.
And Jackson Holiday, by the way, who's injured with the hamate injury.
You got a couple other guys on the bench. You got Ryan Mountcastle, Jeremiah Jackson, Tyler O'Neill, Leody Taveras. But there's a lot of talent, right? A lot to get excited on. But I just still feel like I'm waiting for Gunnar and Adley to kind of just take the league over, right? Just kind of kick it in. These baby Orioles aren't so young anymore. That core is kind of coring out. I don't know. I gotta see it from them this year. I hope that Pete is that guy to kind of lead these. I don't know, 20-something-year-old, pretty much. I think he's the only 30-year-old on the team. Oh, no, sorry. Taylor Ward is 32. So, we got 2 30-year-olds, a bunch of 20-year-olds. So, I think that Pete can guide them through the storm of 162. But, I'm still just I'm just in a a world where like I'm not gonna believe in you. You have to do it for me. They're like the Buffalo Bills. Like I can't just keep like putting my heart on the line for you anymore, Baltimore. You have to do something for me. You gotta go win some goddamn games, dude. You gotta win a playoff series.
Let me sell you on why this team, they won like something like 70 something games last year. They're going to take a big jump this year. I think that they could win like this team's floor is much lower than the other teams we've talked about in this division. But their ceiling is just as high as some of the teams as we talked about. But a lot has to go right, obviously. But I mean, Adley Rutschman, this was a guy that we were talking about could be like the best catcher in baseball. I mean, he was like a guy that we thought was going to hit 300 for the rest of his career. This guy, with the projections, were so good, and he's really struggled the past couple of years. But they have some insurance with Samuel Basallo, who is one of the top catching prospects in all of baseball. If one of them pans out, I'm not worried about catching. Pete Alonso, we know what he can do. He's a guy you can lock him in for 35 to 40 home runs. Jackson Holiday, he needs to live up to his hype once he comes back from the hamate. That might be difficult this year, just considering how hard a hamate and bone injury is to recover from. Gunnar Henderson had a down year, but I still think this guy is like a guaranteed 6-WAR player, and he'll bounce back, and he's gonna be one of the best shortstops in baseball. Jordan Westberg puts up really good numbers. He's super solid. They added Taylor Ward. They got rid of Grayson Rodriguez, added Taylor Ward, a guy that can hit 30 home runs. Colton Cowser, he's a guy that he can 780, 800 OPS. Tyler O'Neill had a bad year last year, but he could come in and contribute. They have all of the pieces there to have a really good lineup. What I'm going to sell you on is their pitching. Because I actually think the pitching staff is better than we realize. They traded for Shane Baz, who had a 4.8 ERA last year, but he has all the stuff to be a sub-4 ERA guy and a really good starting pitcher. Chris Bassett, they got from the Blue Jays. We'll see what he is as a starting pitcher, but he's going to get an opportunity, and he has put some really good seasons together. Trevor Rogers is the ultimate X factor because he was a Cy Young candidate when he was on the mound last year. He had a 1-point-something ERA in his limited sample last year. I mean, he was absolutely ridiculous last year. What are his numbers? He had a what is this? Why am I having spring training? I'm looking for regular season stats.
Come on, Dweeb. He
had a 1.3 FIP last year. Expected ERA. He was absolutely absurd. And if he can keep up what he did, because he was one of the top, pitchers in Miami for a while, and then he got some injuries, and he didn't come back the same, but he was one of the most highly touted prospects from the pitching side in all of baseball, and he lived up to it last year in the time that he had with the Orioles. He was so good. He's one of the top fantasy picks this year for me in fantasy baseball. And now they have Kyle Bradish fully healthy. This is a guy who has a sub-3 ERA every year that he pitches. And he came back last year. He only made like 8 starts, but he was awesome. He had, and we've seen Zach Bradish have a breakout. So if you have Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish pitching to what we've seen them do, they have a 1-2 punch here that can compete with any of the other teams in this division. But obviously the other guys are going to have to contribute. Shane Baz is going to have to be better. But I actually think the pitching is better than we realize. But the floor could also bottom out of this rotation with one injury, and they could just completely flatline. So this is like the biggest wild card team for me in all of baseball this year. This is a team that can win 68 games or win 91. I don't know what it's going to be.
Dude, that's exactly where I'm at. And since we're so far removed from a 91 win season from these guys, I'm in prove it to me mode. Like you said, deep ceiling, but that floor is just as high as anybody else in the division.
Yep. All right. We'll finish up with the Rays. I know you got to go, so we'll wrap things up pretty quickly here. Tampa Bay Rays are projected to finish in last place, but they still have a competitive team. They have a 29% chance of making the playoffs, 6.5% chance to win the division. Catching, Nick Fortes and Hunter Fiducia, Jonathan Aranda at first base. He's going to be healthy. Yandy Diaz, they'll do some platooning. Gavin Lux, our friend Gavin Lux, playing some second base. Maybe Taylor Walls, maybe Ben Williamson. Carson Williams at short, Taylor Walls at short. Junior Caminero hit 45 home runs last year. He's at third base. Chandler Simpson, Jake Fraley, Cedric Mullins, Johnny DeLuca. They have Jacob Melton, Ryan Vlad, Richie Palacios. And then they have, in their pitching rotation, Drew Rasmussen, Ryan Pepio, former Dodger. Shane McClanahan is back and healthy. He's looking okay in spring. Steven Matz, Nick Martinez, Ian Seymour, Joe Boyle. And then in the bullpen, Edwin Uceta, Griffin Jacks, who they got from the Twins, Garrett Clevenger, Brian Baker, Mason Englert, and Cole Sulser, among others. I don't have much on them. I think they're going to be competitive. I think that they're like a huge wild card factor in this division because if they could put a wrench in the plans for a lot of teams. The Rays always perform well. Like if the Yankees don't win the division, it's going to be because they played really well against them this year. And that's the kind of team they are for me. So
yeah,
I don't expect them to make the playoffs, but I think that they're going to be competitive.
Yeah, they're going to be super competitive. Drew Rasmussen, Ryan Pepio at the top of that rotation can take on anybody's, best lineup on any given day. A lot of old Dodger friends over there, Hunter Fiducia behind the plate. Gavin Lux over there. I think he's making his spring training debut start this week, if maybe today, actually. He got off to a slow start, little upper body issue. But other than that, wishing Gavin the best out in Tampa Bay. It seemed like he couldn't really get it going in Cincinnati. But whatever, dude. We love you, Gavin. Always rooting for you. But yeah, dude, I mean, there's talent all throughout that lineup. But it's just kind of always wacky and weird when the Rays are relevant, right? It seems like you can never really plan on it. So if it's a weird year, they'll be in the fucking thick of things, and regardless, they're gonna be driven to play spoiler most of the season, and that always feels great.
I'm in on them being like potentially above 500 team that's competing for a wild card. I don't know if they'll make it, but like I'm in on them being in the hunt, and this being like a 5-team race, and either like only one team makes the playoffs or like 3 to 4 teams make the playoffs with 3 wild card teams coming out of this division, because this division is like so good. But I think that the Rays, especially if Junior Caminero keeps doing what he's doing, that the offense could be good enough.
Stud.
Okay, we're about to go. Who's your pick to win the division, and who's your pick to win the American League pennant?
Man, so like I said, to win the division for me is definitely the Toronto Blue Jays in the AL East.
Oh, that's right, you said that, yeah.
But for the pennant, man, I want to be bold, and I want to say it will be the Detroit Tigers, led there by Tarek Skubal, Framber Valdez, and old dog Justin Verlander. I don't know. There's some magic brewing there. I think that they could really pick up a bat or two at the deadline and make a deep push, dude. It's just, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I like the pick. As I said before, the Detroit Tigers, I think, are the best bet to make the World Series in my eyes, because I think they'll have the easiest path. But I'm going to pick the New York Yankees to win the American League. I think that they're going to make the trade. I trade at the deadline. I think they're going to find a way to get there. And I do think we'll find out next week who they'll be playing in the World Series. But that is it. Thanks so much, as always, for watching. We'll continue updating you on the World Baseball Classic. And next week, we will be doing our National League preview. We'll be breaking down every single division and giving our picks for who the 2026 World Series winner will be. This has been Deferred Collusion. It's me, Jesse Rowe, King of Crespi, joined as always by Branden Bullinger, Lord Paramount of the South Bay in Los Angeles, California. Branden, thanks so much, buddy. See you next time. You have the last word.
Oh, Jess, this is always my favorite. This was a long one today. It felt very cathartic to get all this baseball
Very
out.
long.
5, 6, 7,
That's
drop.
what she said.
Hey. You know what I be telling these ladies. Jess, I love doing this with you, bud. Always a pleasure. This was a long one. If you stuck with us this long, please give us a like, hit us a follow, and we'll see you next time. Oh, dude,
I played the intro song and not the outro song. I'm so sorry.
Dude, you ruined it. You've ruined everything. Yeah. This is the kind of high-quality production you get here at Deferred Collusion.
We will
see you on the next time. Let me know some of your favorite World Baseball moments so far. The humanity has been just exceptional. I love it.
I love humanity.
A lot of feel good. We love our humans, dude. We're big pro-human.
We do. We like human beings. Yeah. See you next time, Papas.
Hey, see you, dude.